Hey friend, in this video, we're gonna do an entire mix walkthrough for the song Breakthrough by Kevin Frank. Check it out.
But until I'm gonna praise you, I see you do what only you do. But until I'm gonna pray, come on, let's sing that, Lord, I'm praying.
So this was a recording that was recorded live with a band out of Atlanta. Is recorded with Melinda Watts and Isaiah Templeton, but this is one of Kevin's original songs, and I was so honored to be mixing it. Kevin's an incredible worship leader, an incredible guy. You guys should definitely check him out. I'm going to leave a link to the song down below so you guys can listen to the whole thing, because in this video, we're just going to go through certain parts. I'm just going to kind of show you what I did, and I don't want to waste any more of your time, so let's dig into it. Let me get these on real quick. All right, so what I'm going to start with here is we're just going to go right to left, okay? So we'll basically start here. We'll go through my bussing, and then we'll end with the drums. So starting at the main, I have a limiter here, and this was only there. It's not even on. It was only there for, for him to reference the mix and just to bring it up to a good volume level whenever he was referencing. And then I use tonal balance control. You guys have seen me do this if you've been around at all. But if you are not using this plugin or a plugin similar to this, you definitely should. You can capture the overall EQ curve of a finished song, and then you can see where yours matches up. Very cool. All right, moving down the line, we have our mix bus and our mix bus 2. And so last week's video, I go hard on the mix bus 2. It's a parallel mix bus. If you guys did not watch that video, go check it out. I'm not going to talk about it in this video. But on my mix bus, this was one of the latest mixes that I've really changed this up. So we're hitting it with Golfos, and one thing I've really changed with what I'm doing is I am pulling the brightness down on it. I actually realized it's bringing up a lot of brightness that I don't personally care for. And so I've been pulling down the brightness. And then next we have the P455 from Pulsar Audio, and this was developed with Mark Daniel Nelson, and it's beautiful. EQ, compression, saturation. This thing is just a beast. I've done a full video on this too, so you guys should check that out and definitely pick it up from Pulsar. Killer sounding plugin. And then next we have up we're on the Isotope Ozone Imager, just doing a bit of stereo spread. And then I did a match EQ with one of the references that he sent me. I don't remember which song. I'm sorry, guys. It was a while ago. But I did a match EQ, and then we did a match of 20%, and I will show you guys that. So just real quick, these are with the inserts off on the mix bus.
Lord, I'm praying for a break, but until I'm gonna pray,
Then on.
I see you do what only you do, but until I'm gonna praise you, oh, pray.
So definitely doing some heavy lifting there. What my main mix bus looks like is Golfos, and then into the P455, and then maybe another saturation plugin depending on what I'm doing. But actually these other two haven't been making it on my other ones lately. All right, let's move on. So for routing purposes, I have all of these buses that are being routed to the mix bus you can see right here, and then everything else is being routed into these mix buses besides the drums. The drum bus is then also going to the mix bus. But the rest of these are all being bussed right to this mix bus. And so we have our instrument bus here, which pretty much has everything except for drums. And what we're doing on this one is we have track spacer. And so I have track spacer set up to be side chained from the vocals, from specifically the lead vocals, I believe. Let me actually check that real quick. It's coming from all the vocals, and we have it set up to be on mid side, and it's on all the way mid. Well, I guess it was on 99%, but all the way mid, and then we're just selecting these middle frequencies here.
Sing that, Lord, I'm praying for a break, but until I'm gonna praise.
And it's just very lightly. We got the ratio on 4.5%. And basically what it's doing is when the vocals come in, it's going to pull down those frequencies where it believes that it's clashing, and only in the middle of the stereo spectrum. So the vocals in the middle really come out. And then next we got a little bit of EQ, really just adding some body. I realized in my overall mix, I was just missing some of this like 300. And so it's a little bit of a cheat code to do that. It's a little bit of cheating. But I didn't mind the way it sounded. So we'll just solo this.
I see you do what only you do, but until I'm gonna pray.
It's really subtle. Very, very subtle. And then next we're hitting it with some saturation from the Slate Digital VCC. And I have it on the RC tube setting. I thought that sounded best.
Pray, but until I'm gonna praise you. I see you do what only you.
And then last on the list is just doing some more imaging. I just wanted more spread on the instruments, particularly in this 3 to like 8K range. I really thought I just wanted to spread a little bit more and let the vocals pop through. And so give that a listen there. So a little narrow there. When you stick that on, you can really hear it in the keys. So really, really, really nice. Next is the effects bus. This is all my reverbs and delays that are on the vocals. And so we just give this a listen. And we're just doing a little bit of saturation with the NLS bus. Nothing crazy there. And then next we have our all vocal bus. Again, we're hitting it with NLS. And then we're just doing a little bit of bus compression. I have it on the smooth setting, the modern smooth setting. And this is basically just making sure the vocals overall together, when they all come in, it just doesn't get overwhelming.
Praise you. I see you do what only you do. But until I'm gonna pray. Come on, let's sing that, Lord. I'm praying for a breakthrough.
Off.
But until I'm gonna praise you. I see you do what only you do. But until I'm gonna praise you.
So just really adding some more control on the overall vocals. You'll see I do a ton of compression on vocals for songs like this, especially when it's live. And then this is my all verb. I did not use it for this mix because they gave me 3 different sets of room mics, 3 stereo room mics. And so didn't need the all verb. Like when you got quality room mics, you don't need to do the reverb trick of kind of creating a false room. So this did not get used. And I just want to say real quick, you will see my performance meter down here. It'll jump up quite a bit. So if it skips a little bit, I'm sorry. My computer's struggling a little bit right now with recording, and then this is a fairly dense session. So I'll do your best to ignore that when it happens. Okay, and moving on to the room. These are the room mics here. And we can hear later down in the song. Get some good claps. Some really good, parts. You got some people singing along with it, and so I utilize the room mics a ton, and you probably just saw there I did some automation, and so we can kind of dive in and look at that real quick. So right here you can see I did a bunch of automation. When it kind of comes down and they're all singing or clapping or shouting or something, just praising the Lord. I really just wanted to make sure that those parts were well heard. And there was one part where this lady screams, and we tried our best to take it out. I think it's right here. You hear that scream right there? Yeah, and she did that multiple times, but it was a little distracting, so we wanted to pull it down. But she was getting it. I think she liked the song. All right, anyways, hitting it with Gullfoss, and we have the Tame set to 52, Brighton set to 44. It's doing so much. It's doing a lot of crazy stuff there, and then more EQ. So just carving out stuff. I don't like to have a lot of top end in my room mics. I like to have like this area from like 1 to 6K, where it's still pretty audible. You still get the clarity out of the claps, but you're not getting those intrusive snare hits, and you're not getting any weird phasing things with the vocals if the vocals were edited or if they were tuned, stuff like that. And then we're just hitting it with on the versatile setting for the compressor here. for Pro C3. I've been really digging Pro C3 lately, if you can't tell. And then we have the SSL Fusion to add some stereo image, and I cranked it all the way up. So I'm going to solo this, show you guys what it sounds like. Also, there are sirens going on right now. Sorry if you hear that. I'm going to turn this up for you guys. All right, here we go, off. And so for me is what I'm envisioning for that, and I don't do this in solo, guys, but I'm showing you guys in solo so you guys can kind of get the picture. But with that, my idea behind that is like I want to feel like I'm in the room. You know, I wanted to make it feel like I'm in the room. So that's how I EQ. That's why I throw stuff on. Gullfoss is great because there's lots of variables when it comes to room mics. Next we have our BGVs, and you can see on these BGVs they don't have effects on them. That's because I had to freeze them because of the tracks. Or because my computer was starting to overload. And so what I did is I just left one. The plugins and all that stuff was the exact same. So we hit it with clear just to get rid of some ambience, or as much as we could without it being artifact wise. And then there's just some sort of EQ on the Pro Q4 on every single one of them, along with waves tune. I didn't go in and tune these individually unless there was like a bad note somewhere. Which I don't think there was at all. There's some really good singers, and then we hit it with the CLA 2A. I felt like that was the only compressor it needed on the individual channel, and then hit it with Soothe, and then I've been really digging the Weiss de-esser, and so I'll just solo this one real quick so you guys can hear the difference with that. Let me go here.
You do praise you.
Off.
Breakthrough. Praise you.
Yeah, just making it nice and smooth. And then these are the BGVs as a whole.
You do praise you. Breakthrough.
And then on these we have track spacer, and again we're doing the mid-side trick. And this is coming from Kevin's vocal. So basically, I just wanted to make sure that Kevin was always on top, always in front, and in the middle. Now, these are all panned, so it's probably fine. But I do this just as like a safety thing, and it's not doing too much. And then I did the virtual mix rack air EQ. Just added a little bit of top end, literally 1 dB. Just added a little bit. And then I've been digging this FG401 on the BGV bus to kind of just clamp down on all the BGVs together, kind of making them sound together. Really just, if you guys didn't see, I did a video on vocal glue, and this was one of the things that I did often was do some type of bus type, SSL type of compression, something like that. And this works. This has just worked really well for me on my BGVs. Been really enjoying it. And then we have the SSL Fusion giving us some stereo width. And then we have a little bit more EQ going on. I wanted some more body, and it started to get a little harsh. So you guys will see that in some of my mixes, I kind of go roundabout in circles until I get the final sound. And then I'm using the 455 again. And I started with this vocal magic setting and then just kind of adjusted from there. But yeah, it all sounds super good. Let's do an A/B comparison. So really just getting them a little bit wider, a little bit brighter, and a little bit more in your face, like literally making you feel like you're with them. And then I have a dedicated BGV verb here. And we're using the RDSer on the way in just to get rid of any harsh S's coming through the reverb there. And then I've been using the Valhalla room, left it on large room, 2-second decay. I don't think I even touched anything after that. The Valhalla stuff just sounds good. A little bit of soothe after it to make sure that there's not a lot of resonances. And I really heard a lot in this lower register. that I didn't want to clutter up the mix. And then hitting it with some more EQ after that. Again, you guys probably, like, if you guys see me with a Pro Q4 on the end, it's probably because I was just chasing a sound and trying to just carve it one last time. All right, moving on. And then next we have our lead vocals. And so mainly we have Kevin's lead vocal, and that's what we're going to focus on here. I'll briefly go over the other ones because Melinda and Zeke, Isaiah Templeton, they didn't really lead too much in this song. There's only a couple of small parts that they did. And so, but we're going to focus on Kevin's. And what's funny about Kevin's is you guys are going to see I did a billion plugins on this. I was chasing the sound. We were kind of going back and forth on what sounded right, what needed to be cut out. And so there's a lot of random things going here and there. But this is the chain right here. So we have Kevin's track here, and then he's going into a parallel compression bus, and then these are both then being routed to the lead vocal bus here. So this is kind of the main level of the lead vocal. And so I'm going to give you guys a listen in solo real quick.
Pray, but until I'm gonna praise you, I see you do what only you do. But until I'm gonna pray, come on, let's sing that, Lord. I'm praying for a break.
So what's funny, soloed, I didn't even realize this. It sounds pretty compressed, but in the mix, it sounds awesome.
But until I'm gonna praise, I see you do what only you do. But
Anyways, so starting off, we did clarity, just pulling out any of the room, any of the stuff we don't need, hitting it with a little bit of EQ, really just pulling out, adding some body back into it, pulling out some there's always something near 1K in every live vocal that I've ever done. And then we're using split EQ, and basically what I'm doing with this is I'm getting rid of any plosives, a lot of low-end buildup in the transient side of things. If you guys have not used this plugin, it is so cool. Basically, it has 2 different EQ nodes for each of your 6 bands, and you can either pull the transient out or the tone out. And so you can see pulling some transient out, and then there was just some tonality things that we talked through on his vocal that he really wanted pulled out, but I didn't want to take the transient out because it sounded good. Like I really liked the bite of his vocal originally, so I didn't want to pull that out. So that's what we're doing there. And then some more EQ, as you can see, lots of goofy things. Lots of dynamic EQ, using the spectral mode, just doing anything I can to get it to sound how I want it to sound. And then we're hitting it with the Pro C3. I love this vocal setting on lead vocal. If you go to utility vocal, it just shoves the vocal right out front. Sounds so good. And then this is a plugin that I never reach for, but I did for this mix multiple times, is I reached for the CLA vocals. I haven't used this plugin in a couple of years, probably, something like that. Maybe I have, I don't know, but I went for it and it just sounded good. I liked this top setting, loved the sub setting, and so left it there. And then for the parallel channel, we're going into a little bit of EQ before we're hitting the compressor, and I've been loving the FG Stress from Slate. Let me get a drink of water real quick. And let's see how much dB of gain reduction we're going for here. Yeah, really crushing it. 10 to 12 dB of gain reduction. You can listen to that by itself. Just crushed. And then here's just his vocal channel. You do, but until I'm gonna praise you. And then both of these are going into the lead vocal bus here. And so we're starting that off with some Pro MB, using this to kind of get some more top end out of it, but also control the effect of, like, whenever he's, getting closer to the mic, pulling it away, the proximity effect, couldn't remember the name, but really making sure that it doesn't, whenever he really digs in and gets closer to the mic, it's not getting too low and heavy, and vice versa. And so that's why we have all this in place. Pray, but until I'm gonna praise, I see you do it only you do. And then next, hitting it with Soothe, it's a great plugin, and I have it not doing too much, being fairly gentle. And then next we're hitting it with Decapitator. If you want your vocals to just need a little bit of pop, need that little bit of lift, Decapitator is such a cool plugin. Basically what I do is I bring the drive up to about 2, and then I switch between the style down here until I find one that I like, find one that suits the vocal that you're mixing. That's kind of the key. And then depending on which one I like, I will then adjust the tone knob. So you can see this tone knob is just tilted to the right a little bit. It's just adding some more top end, some more brightness. And then next we have the de-esser, just the Wise de-esser again. And then again, I was still chasing the sound that I wanted. So you're gonna see the Pro Q4 again, just pulling out random frequencies. And then this is funny. I've seen a couple of people do this now. I think Chris Greeley, and I can't remember, there's a couple other people, but they've used max bass to add more low end. So I felt like with all the EQ and all the processing I've done, I kind of lost the body of his voice. And so I just wanted a little bit of that back. And so we used max bass to get that body back into the mix. And then we finished it off again with P455. I think I was just excited to have this plugin, and I was just finding any reason to use it. And so we're going to take all the processing off here. Actually, let me unsolo that one. Take all the processing off here. So this is vocal raw.
But until I'm gonna praise you, oh, pray. But until I'm gonna praise.
Sorry, didn't mean to clip it there.
I see you do it, only you.
And then turn all these on.
But until I'm gonna pray. Come on, let's sing that, Lord. I'm praying for a praise. But until I'm gonna praise, I see you do it, only you do.
And so that is pretty much the main idea behind the lead vocal there, was just chasing. And so same with Melinda. So we'll go here for her part.
If I will give all my praise.
But you can tell it's a lot of the same plugins. Pro Q4, put a little bit of tuning on there. Decapitator again, and actually I had two decapitators on her. It just sounded good, so we doubled up. And then CLA vocals to finish it off, pretty much the same settings, maybe a little bit different. And then it's pretty much the same with Zeke as well. You guys can see just about the same settings on it. Don't just copy and paste settings, guys. Like, adjust it per the singer. But yeah, here is her vocal.
To the one who is worthy, I will give your holy name. I will give all my worship. I will give.
So, and he wanted them panned just a little bit, just to split it all up, because at this part they're all just kind of singing together. It's a really spontaneous part. And then here's Zeke. Unreal vocal line.
Even when I'm still hurting, I will live.
Okay, and so that's the lead vocals there. Let's go through the reverbs and stuff. So we've got 3 reverbs here and then 3 delays here, or delay type plugins. And so I've done an entire video on how I do reverbs and delays for vocals, but just as a quick recap, and there's a whole video on the channel, so you guys should go check that out if you want more in depth. But I like to do a Valhalla room, or some type of room sound, or maybe a plate, as like kind of like one of the main reverbs. Let me go where it's just here, so it's not so wild. So it's kind of like my main vocal sound there. And then let me take these off solo safe so we can solo them one at a time. There we go. So that's kind of like the main vocal reverb that I have going on, putting them in a space. This is a much darker. We used Valhalla Future Verb for this one. Did the Chamber Modern Dark. And then we have our big long reverb. Did I not use this? I may have not used this. wait, hold on.
Do what only you do, but until I'm gonna praise.
So big, that's like my big long reverb, and that's what I like to have, a combination of those three, and then just automate between them depending on the what's needed. We have a doubler effect here,
Oh, praise.
just to make the vocals sound a bit wider. And then we have a medium style delay here, like an eighth note, using Valhalla Future Verb as well for that. And then we have kind of a longer delay here, with a quarter note, I believe. Yeah. And I don't think I really pumped the delays in this song. Didn't use them too much, but they're definitely in the mix. All right, moving on. We have our pads here. And so basically he just had 2 drone pads that he wanted me to use. And let me find them real quick here. And really they're just filling space, kind of providing that worship environment. I just put track spacer on them, and I think I put the vocal. Did I put the vocal, or what did I put on it? Yeah, I put all the vocals on it, so they weren't clashing, they weren't getting in the way. And then next we have up the loop track. Just some percussion, and that just kind of goes out through the whole song. And we're just putting NLS bus on them, adding some saturation. And then next we have our keys bus. And so this is, we've gotten now to one of these things that wasn't actually in the song originally, was the organ. So my friend Dustin Griffith recorded organ for us, which is awesome. And so let's just give that a listen real quick. Let's go here. And it's pretty buried in the mix, but it just adds a nice texture, nice fullness to the mix.
But until I'm gonna pray. Come on, let's sing that, Lord. I'm praying for a praise.
And on the organ, we did a little bit of EQ, pulled out a lot of top end. I didn't want it to bite too much. I just wanted it to fill that space in the mid range. And then I used the PukeTech 670, Puke Child, 670. Or is it? Yeah, Puke Child. And this just adds a nice vibey sound. I just like the way the 670 sounds on stuff like this. Just really kind of keeping it in line. So off. And then on. Pretty subtle processing. We didn't need to do too much to it. I don't even know what patch he used, but it sounds good. And then next we have some keys. And so this was the main keyboard that was recorded live. Some wild EQ. I used this preset, I think, and then just kept tweaking stuff. But I had trouble controlling some parts of it, and so it just got wild. It got really wild. That's with it off, and then on. Just brought out the clarity. And then I have BX Stereo Maker just to make it wider. And then we hit it with the Pro Q4 again. Just found a little bit of, a few frequencies here that I just didn't care for. And so with everything off here. Oh, that's right. It was recorded mono. That's right. And so I used the BX Stereo Maker to make it stereo. And then on. And then both the organ and the keys are going through the keys bus here. And on the keys bus is where we're hitting our compression pretty hard. We're hitting 1176. Then we're hitting the NLS bus saturator. And then we're hitting the Pro Q4 for some more EQ. SSL fusion width all the way up. And then hitting it with the Magma BB tubes for some saturation. And then, of course, there's another Pro Q4 of me like, oh, I think I need more EQ on this. And so these are those two together. Off. Definitely a big volume jump. I should not be doing that. Pro tip. And then on. But yeah, I think when I was mixing on the bus, I had both of them like sounding good, and I was like, I really just want both of them to stick out but feel good in the mix, and so that's where I kept chasing it on the keys bus there. Sometimes it just happens like that. Okay, next we have our guitar bus. So there was only one guitar player on the live recording, and so we decided that, hey, it'd be cool if we had a couple more parts added. And so he had a buddy of his, don't remember his name, sorry, friend, if you're watching, but he did awesome. He added a bunch of cool parts that really we're not trying to make present in the mix, but we're just making we're wanting to make the mix sound bigger. And so here are all the parts without the live guitar. So lots of stuff like that. It's kind of the biggest part there. Here. And then, a lot of, fairly simple parts that are just really adding to the bigness of the mix. And that's what we were going for. And then we have our live guitar here, which we can go here. And all of those guitars are running through the guitar bus here, where we have NLS bus doing some saturation. We have the CLA 3A just doing some group compression on them. Let me see what that is sitting at. Is it even compressing? It might not even be compressing. Let me see. There's a part where the guitar gets really loud. If I can find it. Right here. Yeah, so when the guitar solo is happening, we're getting 1 to 2 dBs of gain reduction. So hardly doing anything. Don't overcompress your guitars, people. Next, I put a Valhalla vintage verb on the entire bus, and we have the mix set to 15%. I get a lot of guitars, and it either goes one way or the other. They either have way too much reverb, or they don't have enough reverb at all, and I can't put them into a space. And so Valhalla vintage verb to put them in the space, which is really nice. SSL Fusion again, adding some width. And then we use the P450 EQ, which is the EQ off of the P455, just to add some more. And so let's just give this a listen here. And then on all of the dubbed guitars, I put a Pro Q4 on them, but you can see not all of them got some EQ. Some of them got some EQ. This is a big thing, is like you get a lot of guitars that sound similar, but it's not all of them that need that same EQ often. It depends on the part in the song that it's playing and the role that it's playing. So some of them I have this EQ, and then I turned it off because I was like, it doesn't need it. It sounds good the way it is. And so you'll see some of them have some funny looking EQs. And then on the live guitar, we did we pulled out some top end. I just felt like it was way too bright. And then I used the BX Shred Spread. This is a free plugin, by the way. And I just used the shred knob at 50%, and it just adds a ton of like mid-range goodness. And so let me just show you guys that real quick. So off. On. Like, just makes that guitar it makes it feel heavier, which is so nice. All right, moving on to the bass guitar. This was something that I also got pretty scatterbrained about, because he kept wanting more bass, which is fine. Like, it's okay. We can have as much bass as we want, kind of. But let's go back to chorus 2. And then we'll turn these off. So definitely a huge volume jump, which is a no-no on mixing, but it happened anyway. But yeah, so that's with it on, and then here we go. All right, so first thing first, we did some EQ, of course. A little bit of EQ here, added some low mids, took away some top end a little bit. And then we did the CLA 2A, compressing it pretty hard, or was I hardly compressing it? I may have not. The bass player, if you guys hear, actually, let me show you guys this. The bass player was actually pretty consistent with his parts. And when you guys are looking at this, like, oh, what about this low part? Well, it's that low part in the song. Like his dynamics were really well done. So I didn't need to do a ton of compression as much as I normally would. Like I would compress the heck out of this normally, but so we can go to this louder part where it's hitting 1 dB of gain reduction, and then I use parallax just to bring out some of that punchiness. So that's off. On. Adds a little aggression, and then we're using the R bass just to add some low end. And then we're hitting it with the Empirical Labs Punch Knuckles, Professor Punch Knuckles. Yeah, this is a cool plugin from Softtube. But yeah, just adding a little bit more compression, 3 to 4 dBs of gain reduction. And then I have Track Spacer on to make room for the kick. And so we have this, I need to show you that. I need to have this set to the kick here. So basically it's just ducking every time the kick hits. Yeah, super simple. And it's only ducking. I have it set to 78 hertz and below. So it's only ducking the low end. And this just makes sure there's not a lot of buildup in the low end. We want the low end to stay punchy. And then hitting it with another Pro Q4 again. It's me. We're getting to the end of the mix, and I'm like, I could just use a little bit more of the mid range, And so I'd throw that on, and then again, I don't use CLA bass very much, but I threw it on there just to get that last little bit. Let's see what this sounds like. Yeah, it added that nice top end. And that was the bass sound we ended up with. And then on the song here, these are all percussion things that I personally added, except for the drum pad. Drum pad was live, so let me unsolo that. But I added some shakers and some swells here. And yeah, so it's super exciting. I'm just kidding. And so they're all going through the percussion bus here. On the tambourine, we probably took out some low end or some top end, and then took out some frequencies that we didn't like. I guess I did that twice. Did I just hold on? Maybe that was an accident. Either way. And then on the shaker, we took out some of the transient top end, where it's like I still wanted the top end and the tonality, but I didn't want it so transient heavy, so it's like cutting through the mix really hard. So we pulled that out. It's a really fun thing to do. And then I think I just copied the EQ over from the tambourine. And then on the drum pad, we cut out some top end and some random frequencies that I did not like, but we can listen to that here. So like some low end hits, and then just some cool sounds that were added to the mix. Yeah, we did a little bit of EQ there. All right, now moving on to the drums. Let me give you guys a good listen here. We're gonna re-loop this. Okay, cool. So with the drums, on the drum bus, we did a lot. We NLS bus here, and then I hit it with the Chandler Curve Bender to get some EQ out of it. Hit it with a tape machine from Softtube, and then what did we do next? Oh yeah, this is where I use the germanium. So if you guys have ever used this compressor, it's pretty dope on drums. It will bring in a lot of low end though, so be conscious of that. And then we use K-Clip 0 to add some clipping. This is a free clipper, by the way. So if you guys want this, K-Clip 0 from Kazrog, I believe. And then the L4 just to add, I have it on L2 mode. This is something that I think Luke Hendrickson has done in the past where he uses the L2 and it just brings some sort of smack out of the drums that's just really, really nice. And yeah, so let's just give that a listen. We'll turn those off.
I see.
Oh, sorry, I don't have the cymbals in there. So yeah, drum bus. Let's turn it. Wait, we can turn it off and turn it back because it's off. Let's go back to chorus 2 here. On. And then moving from right to left, we have a fake drum room. I use the Panda Rooms. You can use any type of room type plugin for this. Love the Panda Rooms. Just kind of emulates a fake room. Sounds good. It's really good because on live worship recordings like this, you didn't get the opportunity to have an actual drum room, and so you get to fake one with this, where you can throw whatever you want at it. And then we have a drum verb here with Valhalla Future Verb. Mostly snare and toms, I believe, in that. And with the future verb, we're doing 2 seconds of oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name. Whatever this is, decay. Oh my gosh, it's set to modern, room, and dark. Good sounding verb. Nothing more to say about that. And then on the snare verb, I usually use Valhalla Future Verb, which you can see I turned all those off, and I ended up using this CLA Epic Stereo thing. It just sounded cool. Let's pull way back down here. Just added a nice verb to the snare, make it sound a little bit bigger, thicker. And then we have our snare parallel here. Adding a lot of smack. We're using the API 2500 for that. And I'm actually not doing a ton of compression on this. Interesting. And then we're doing the parallel toms here. Let me see if I can find some toms here. And we're using the CLA 76 for that. 3 to 5 dB of gain reduction. Nothing crazy there. And then moving on, we have our hi-hat here. Doing a lot of EQ, just finding anything that I didn't like about the hi-hat there. Just a lot of boxiness. And then on the overheads, so something to say about the overheads is I did not route the overheads to the drum bus this time. It kept just sounding messy. It kept sounding not good. As plain as I can put it, it just did not sound good. And so I wanted to change that. And I've seen people do this where they just send the overheads, like your cymbal mics and everything, to the mix bus and bypassing the drum bus. And I was like, man, that seems weird. But I did it, and then it sounded good. But here's the EQ on the overheads, pulling out a lot of random frequencies, and we're using the dynamic EQ here to kind of tame that top end of the snare so it sounds consistent. Using the CLA 76, I don't think it's doing anything, to be honest. It's not doing anything. And then we're using Soothe to tame cymbal resonances here. And then at the end, we're using the Fusion Stereo Imager, again, pumping that up to make it as wide as possible.
See you do it only you do, but until I'm gonna praise you.
All right, moving on, we have our toms bus. And with the tom bus, we are doing some ridiculously funny EQ here. again, you guys, this is what happens. Hitting it with the Kramer Pi on the bus, and then hitting it with CLA drums after that. So let's give these toms a listen here. See if I can loop a part. And off here. And then on. Just adding some low end and some presence into the mix there. And then with the triggers, let's see what we went with here. So on the trigger, I went with these slap toms. This is this came from a drum pack, which I have for sale with my friend Corey, the Revival Trigger pack. Toms sound amazing. I'll put a link down below for that if I remember. If I don't remember, someone comment and tell me. Let me turn off this overhead here. So that's that trigger there, and we're doing some EQ here. And then I've been loving the Renaissance compressor for for toms. I can't tell you why, because I know it's for guitars, but it just sounds really good. And then here is the actual tom, which sounds pretty good. I just wanted to add those tom samples because I like blending the samples together. It just sounds good. It makes drum mixing a little bit easier, a little bit quicker, especially if I'm on like a tight time schedule. And then here is the rack tom. Let me loop that. And this is the trigger. Again, we're using the slap tom 1, and then we're hitting it with smack attack, taking away a lot of the sustain, and then some EQ, of course. You always need EQ. Not always, actually. And then, so we take these away. And this is the original mic here. We got silencer, Pro Q, just doing some crazy tom EQ to get that sound good. Renaissance, and then we're using the smack attack. And so it's off. And so since I'm getting the resonance from the trigger, I don't have to worry about that as much. I can kind of cut off this tom pretty quick just to get that smack out of that hit.
Even when it's hard. Even when we gotta push through, we sing it. Come on.
All right, and then moving on to the snare bus. So we have a snare top, a snare bottom, and our trigger channel. And on the bus, looks like I had this native drum strip here, but it didn't get used. So I'll leave that there. And then a little bit of EQ on the snare bus. This was, I chased around the snare sound that I wanted for a long time, and really happy with where it ended up at, but it did take me a while. And then you ended up using the CLA drums on here just to add some bite to it. And let's just go back here. And so we're going to turn the bus processing off. On. So definitely adding some weight to it. And then on the snare sample, I ended up going with what I got. I went with the copper tone from, I believe it is from Austin Davis sample collection. Yeah, copper tone here. So that's the trigger I ended up going with for this song. I thought it matched the song and the sound of the drums really, really well. And then some EQ, hit it with the 1176, and then I hit it with this wider plugin, which I know is kind of a no-no on drums, but I just wanted the snare to spread a little bit. I want it to be wider. Aptly named. Also, cool tip, this plugin is free. So if you guys look up Polyverse Wider, you can just go download it, and then you can just have it and use it, and it's cool. Anyways, so I'm going to turn the processing off for that snare sample. And then on. Cool. And then let's go to snare top, let's go to snare bottom. We need a loop. And we got silencer, and then we're doing some funny EQ, taking out some stuff I did not like in the mid-range. And then I actually hit it with the 2A, which I don't think is compressing. Yeah, and then with smack attack, just adding a tiny bit more attack. Just like again, I'm doing something similar with what I like to do with mics to the samples is I like the samples to really take care of a lot of the resonance because it's clean, right? There's no cymbal bleed or anything like that. And then have these, the mics actually help with the attack and the smack of the sound. So, and let's turn these off. And then let's go to snare top here. Again, hitting it with silencer. And then Pro Q4, doing a lot of mid-range surgery again. And hitting it with the 1176, just doing a dB of gain reduction there, nothing crazy. Then smack attack, again, just adding some more smack to it. That's off. And then on. And then that's all three of them together. I think this was pulled down. And then is snare in the mix.
But until I'm gonna praise you. Oh, I'm gonna praise you. Gonna give you all my praise, Jesus.
Okay. And then last but not least is the kick. And so I didn't care for the kick in mic. Personally, I just didn't like the way it sounded. I tried to EQ it and I just didn't like it. So we're just rolling with the kick trigger. And for the sound that I went for, I ended up going with the Luke Hendrickson kick from his template, from his mixing template, which I don't really use anything from his mixing template besides this random kick sample because it sounds great. And I thought it fit the song again. I thought it felt good. And so hitting it with some EQ, I cannot tell you why I decided to use F6. I think it might have been already on there from my template, and it would just, I don't know. I honestly have no good answers for this, but this was the original starting EQ. And what I've noticed on his drums specifically, he likes so much low end in his kicks. And so I actually pulled some out and we did some surgical EQ, and then we did a little bit more EQ with the Pro Q4. Again, nothing crazy. Like I think I probably came back later in the mix and added this Pro Q4 and then added this little top end bump and this mid-range cut here, just because I wanted it to cut through the mix a little bit more. I just wanted it to click a little bit more. And so we'll just turn those EQs off. And then on.
Lord, I'm praying for a break, but until I'm gonna praise, I see you do what only you do, but until I'm gonna praise.
And that's pretty much it, guys. So a lot of this stuff is actually in my mix template, and a lot of this stuff is what I start with, so I don't actually have to go and find things and start from zero. And so if you guys are interested in that, I do have my mixing template for sale. It's down below. No pressure though. It's not for free. If I'm being honest, it's not for free. But if you guys want kind of a good starting point like this, I have this template, my master template that I use, but I also have one just built for Waves plugins. And it'll just give you a phenomenal starting point on your mix, so you don't have to start from zero. So check that out down below. Let me know what you guys want me to do more videos on. I love doing videos like this, and I hope this blessed you. I hope you guys got something from it. I hope you found some cool technique that you really liked. And yeah, I post videos every Tuesday, so be on the lookout for those. If anyone hasn't told you today, I love you, and God loves you. And yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Bye.